Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today I am coming to you from Sydney. Where's Sydney? In Australia. And what better to do while in Australia than react to another cishet Australian man, my absolute all-time favorite type of person, as we all know. Today, I'm going to be watching some of Isaac Butterfield's videos because people have been asking me for months. And listen, I've tried doing this before, but I just can't. I can't sit through his content because, as established, he's a cishet Australian man. Emphasis on the Australian part. I can't deal. I can't handle it. Like, an Australian accent is one thing. But an Australian accent spouting absolute fucking bullshit is just where I draw the line. But since I'm here in Australia, I thought that this was the best time to do it. If I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be now. So that is what we are doing today. I would like to put a disclaimer here because people always like to get mad at me about this. Can't be racist towards Australians. Not a thing. So first, get that off the table. Can't be racist towards Australians. Secondly, Kiwis and Australians have a sibling feud that exists. They're like our big brother. So we just bash on them all the time. It's all in fun, I promise. Please don't get mad at me. The Australians all agree and are in on this too. So unless you're Australian or a Kiwi, before we do get into this video, I would like to say this little guy, Kiwi Fruity the Fruity Kiwi Fruit, only has a few days left for you to grab them before they are gone forever. I still need to make a few more sales in order for this campaign to be successful. 10% of all proceeds go towards Rainbow Youth, which is a Kiwi organization that aims to help young queer Kiwis. Even if you can't or don't want to buy a Kiwi, if you could donate, that would be incredible. I'll leave the link in the description below. I would make this video a fundraiser, but I can't do that because it's not an American charity. Anyway, let's get on with the video. This is going to go one of two ways. I'm not sure yet. It's either gonna go, I'm gonna watch all three videos that I have previously watched and written notes for, and it's gonna be like a good video, or I'm gonna watch one video and get really sidetracked and talk for like 40 minutes about one video, and then I'll possibly, hopefully, do the other videos on my second channel. So if you don't want to miss that and they don't end up in this video, go subscribe to my second channel. I just did a cool possum raccoon meme video. If it's up, I don't know. It doesn't have a schedule. I don't have a schedule. I've been on holiday for 3 months, so nothing is real anymore. I've been talking for too long. I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna get on with it. So today, the Isaac Butterfield video we will be watching, number one, which also might be the only one, is 10 reasons woke women hate men. First, we've got to turn the playback speed up because I'm not sitting here watching this man speak in normal time. 10 reasons woke women hate men. Let's go.
Here are 10 reasons that woke women hate men. Number 10, toxic masculinity. By definition, it is a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as having a negative impact on men and society as a whole. Anything that's bad that a man does is toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity is not everything that a man does. This seems to be a thing that a lot of more conservative people, a lot of more people more on the right do try to push and say, like, toxic masculinity is anything a man does. Anything is toxic masculinity. I could do it. No, toxic masculinity is the forced idea of what a man is. Toxic masculinity is being angry and aggressive because you're taught that that's the only emotion that you're allowed to have. Toxic masculinity is when you're told you have to be strong, you have to be brave, you have to be a leader, you have to look after people, and you aren't allowed to look after yourself. You're not allowed to feel, you're not allowed to do all this stuff because you have to be a strong alpha male. That's toxic masculinity. It puts you in a box and stops you from doing things that you want to do, that you can do. It stops you from feeling things, from doing things, and it leads into a lot of people having very pent-up emotions, and it leads to people being aggressive and violent because we're taught that violence and anger are masculine things, and sadness and vulnerability are feminine things. So men can't do that. They can only show emotions and anger and be violent and be toxic, you know? That's what toxic masculinity means.
Anything bad that a female does is not toxic femininity. It is brave, powerful, wonderful, and fantastic. Yay.
Not true. Toxic femininity is a thing and it is harmful. It's just harmful in a very different way. Toxic masculinity is harmful for women because it hurts a lot of women, and it's toxic for themselves, and it harms themselves, and it harms people around them. It's just kind of harmful for everyone all around. Toxic femininity is like the trad wife thing, and that's really dangerous, as we saw today from the overturning of Wade v. Roe, which is absolutely awful and terrible, and I'm really fucking sorry to every single person with a uterus in the US. Really scary, really awful. That's a whole different topic. It's a whole different conversation. But the women who were there cheering for that and pushing that, those are people who have toxic femininity. They're the people who think that, you know, motherhood is what a woman is destined for. They're the people who want to control women's bodies because they think women were designed for a specific purpose, and what they think their purpose is what every other woman's purpose is as well. It's you have to stay home and look after your husband, you have to cook, you have to clean, you can't get an education, you're a mother. That's toxic femininity. Toxic femininity or masculinity is just putting people in a box based off of what genitals they have and saying, this is what you have to be as a woman. This is what you have to be as a man. You can't do anything else. Only that. That's toxic. Fucked up. Don't do it. Be who you want. Do what you want. Toxic masculinity is a problem because it hurts people.
Many people will have you believe that if you are a man in this world, then you are to be blamed for everything bad that men do. If a woman is attacked in the middle of the street, that is your fault, that is my fault, it is men's fault, not the fault of the psycho who is attacking this woman. Domestic violence, don't blame the perpetrator, blame men.
The point is that most perpetrators are men, whether that be towards women or men. Overall, most perpetrators of violence and sexual assault are men. In New Zealand, I don't know about anywhere else. I don't know statistics of everywhere else. I just know my home country. 33% of women are physically or sexually abused by an intimate partner at some point in their life. Now that is the highest in the OECD, but not hugely. This is a huge problem everywhere. That's just from intimate partners. That's only from people that you are in a relationship with. That doesn't take into account other instances where it is outside of an intimate relationship. 1 in 3 women, every single woman I know has experienced that. You don't know which men are gonna do that because when you meet an abuser, they seem great. That's the whole thing that abusers do. You have to be kind of cautious. You have to be kind of wary because you don't know who that's going to be. And if it's that many men, you have to be cautious. It's obviously not all men's fault, but also it is because a lot of men don't hold their friends accountable. A lot of men aren't even aware of what they're doing. We don't learn enough about consent and things in school. So many men will like coerce women, will pressure women, will be abusive and manipulative and like assault women without even being aware of doing it. So you have to be cautious. You have to be careful because you never know who it's going to be. And if it's happened to everyone else around you, or if it's happened to you before, you're obviously going to be fucking scared, all right? It's just the way it's going to fucking go. And it's the way it's going to have to go until those numbers go down, until you start calling out your friends' jokes, your own as well. And as soon as you start calling people out and helping, it is your problem.
Number 8, the wage gap. Ooh. You hear about it constantly. The media brings it up every couple of months here in Australia. All about women not getting equal pay for the next 20 or 30 years here in Australia. But let me tell you this. The reason the wage gap exists is for a multitude of reasons. Between the career that you choose, the job you choose, the hours you choose. Do you choose to work away from home? Do you choose to get pregnant and take 2, 3, 4 years off or 6 months off work?
The problem with the wage gap is, yes, all these things are sort of what it accumulates to. It is illegal in most places to pay men and women differently for the same job at the same place. But the problem is subconscious bias. Men overall earn a lot more money than women do. A man and a woman are in the same job at the same workplace. If the woman has more experience, she works harder, puts in more hours, is more focused, produces more work, she is still less likely to get a promotion than her male counterpart who does not have the same results, who does not put in as much work, who does not have the same amount of experience because of subconscious bias. And part of that comes down to just trusting men more. And part of that comes down to the expectation of women wanting to take time off to spend with family. If you're a young woman, you're less likely to get a promotion because they're like, oh, but what if she wants to have a baby though? We would lose her. Because then not only will she need to take time off for maternity leave, but she'll also maybe leave because she wants to become a stay-at-home mom. She'll want more time off to look after her kids because obviously dads don't want to do that. Dads don't want to take time off to look after kids. And also, yeah, obviously all young women want to have children too, right? That's a really fair and reasonable assumption to make, that every single woman you hire is one day gonna leave to have a baby. Fucking bullshit. Women are less likely to be hired, they're less likely to be promoted. They have to put in so much more work in order to be viewed and treated anywhere near their male counterpart most of the time. This is including from other women. We all have that internal bias. We're all brought up in a misogynistic society. We all have internalized misogyny to some degree. It's just something that we all have to live with and we're trying to break out of and break away from, but there is a glass ceiling. It does exist and it does largely contribute to the wage gap because it's really fucking hard for women to work their way up there. They have to work 10 times harder and it still does not really pay off very often. Hello, I'm wearing a jacket and might look a little different and a different angle, etc. It's because my battery died. And so had my other batteries, so I had to charge more. Now we're trying again.
Woke women believe that all men are dangerous. I've already touched on this already in this video, but I feel it is important to really highlight it.
It's really important to highlight. Sorry.
A generation of young women between the ages of 14 to 30, maybe even a little bit older, are learning that not only are men dangerous, that they should be scared of them at all times and avoid them at all costs.
This is really funny because this is implying that women haven't been afraid of men for forever and been taught that we should be afraid of men for forever, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but like beating your wives was legal in most parts of the world. In all parts of the world, actually, up until like pretty recently. Women have been viewed as property. We've been sold and traded. We have been literal property to men, still are in some places of the world, and still are treated like that in most current societies. Women have always been afraid of men. Just people didn't listen to women and women's opinions didn't matter. We were expected to be abused because we weren't seen as people. If you want to sit here and tell me that women haven't been afraid of men for forever, I would laugh at you, because that is just straight up bullshit. We just haven't been allowed to talk about it. Women are afraid of men. They always have been. Hopefully won't always be. But we're at a point where we're like less afraid of men than we've been before because we have more rights protecting us. But yeah, obviously we're gonna be fucking wary. We live with the history that we have, with the statistics that we have. It makes sense that we're scared of men. We've been raised our entire lives being told, don't do this in public, be home before dark, do this, don't let men do this, be careful of men. That's not a new thing. That's been a thing for forever, except once upon a time, people didn't really warn women of that because women weren't allowed to go outside. So they didn't have to be warned of that, did they? And because no one cared what happened to them. So yeah, this isn't a new thing.
And yes, of course there's dickhead men, but to paint all men with the same brush, if it was done in the opposite way to paint all women with the same brush, you would fucking hate it and fight to the death to change that attitude from men towards women.
Women are all painted with the same brush, bro. Patriarchy. I know you just said you can't blame everything on the patriarchy, but I actually fucking can. Because it's It's kind of at the root of everything. So it is kind of all the patriarchy's fault. That's not a cop-out, it's just a fucking fact.
Number 5, and this is a great one and a great reason to hate men, male feminists. Basically, what a male feminist is a predator hiding in camouflage looking to pounce. The only reason male feminists exist is to fuck chicks. This is it. The only reason. If you know a guy who says he's a male feminist, he's trying to fuck you.
This really reflects the way that you view women. Honestly, if you believe that people saying they care about women, they're only saying it in order to sleep with women, that's you just projecting your sexualization of women and saying that you don't care enough about women. Like, just because you aren't a feminist and you think that feminism is stupid and that you can't be a man and a feminist doesn't mean that male feminists don't exist. It's also really bold of you to say that, because I feel like just 2 seconds ago you just said don't paint all blank with the same brush except male feminists. I'm gonna paint them all with the same brush. All male feminists are assholes trying to sleep with women and manipulate them. Just not true at all. There are some men who pretend to be feminists in order to manipulate women. Fact. There are men who pretend a lot of shit to manipulate women. We've gone over this. It's why we're afraid of men. A lot of men are manipulators. A lot of men are abusers. But male feminists do exist and are important. Believe it or not, there are some men who care about women and are vocal about that and aren't just trying to fuck them. Much to your surprise, men can fight for women's rights. And if you believe in equality between all genders, then you're a fucking feminist. And if you aren't a feminist and you don't agree with equality for all genders, then fuck you.
Male privilege. Male privilege is something that gets spoken about all the time. Everything is male privilege, okay? And yes, there are some things that you could consider male privilege. It's probably easier for a man to become a CEO, all right, right now. But that's a privilege. I'll give you that. But not everything a man experiences is a privilege. Men are 4 times more likely to kill themselves. Men are more likely to live on the street. They're more likely to go to jail. They're more likely to go to war. They're more likely to die on the job. Is that a privilege?
Literally, exactly. And that's all a product of, you guessed it, the patriarchy. We're going right back to the start with the toxic masculinity of men are told they're not allowed to have feelings. Men are told that they have to be strong and brave and they have to fight, and they're not allowed to be anything other than like a provider and a fighter and strong and a leader. And it leads them to being in more dangerous jobs. It leads them to being violent. It leads them to being depressed and suicidal because they can't talk about their emotions because they don't feel like they're allowed to have them. And if they express them, then they're viewed as less than by their peers and by society as a whole. That's not got anything to do with privilege. That's toxic masculinity. That's society's view on masculinity and what a man is. The privilege part is that, yeah, as you say, they're more likely to be CEOs. They are more likely to be noticed and they're more likely to get their way. They're listened to more, etc. Men have all those problems because men enforced those rules. Men are the ones who initially created all these rules. All the societal boundaries and things were created by men, and we can't deconstruct them and change it unless men also try to do that, you know? Like, you can sit here and talk about this male privilege and say, it's not privilege. Men aren't privileged because they're killing themselves. What are you doing about it? Because sitting here and saying toxic masculinity isn't real doesn't help. That's the whole point, is that men and women and people of all genders are equal. We're all people and we all deserve the same rights and treatment and opportunity. And that includes equal access to therapy and medical care and food and shelter and custody of our children and work opportunities and everything. We just all deserve the same chances and opportunity to be able to get all of that. We need to stop being put in boxes. It's this thing of like, it shouldn't be a set idea of what a man is and a set idea of what a woman is, and you have to be both of those things and you have to follow it in such a strict way. You can be whatever you want and you can sit wherever on the spectrum you want to, and you can have whatever attributes you want to, present yourself however you want to, and that's totally okay. It doesn't make you less or more of anything, and we need to be encouraging that. It's just so infuriating, man. Like, it's this thing of like, I guess one of the more infuriating things about people like this is that he thinks he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't think he's hurting people. in the sense that he's like, yeah, but I accept gay people and I accept trans people to a degree in his own way. I'll get into that when I watch the next video. You know, he's like, I accept people. Toxic masculinity is real. Men need to be able to talk about their feelings and stuff. Women can't be afraid of men. You can't be just on the side of men because that's a problem. You can't be talking about men's issues as though that's a woman's problem. That's the flaw here, is you can't be saying that men's problems are because of women and women complaining is hurting men, because it is ultimately men who are hurting men and men who are hurting women. We need to work together to deconstruct this idea of masculinity and the patriarchy and femininity and just come together and be people, because like that's ultimately the only thing that's going to help anything. I'll stop being afraid of men when they stop thinking they need to be men. Be your own person. We just need to get rid of the idea and the construct of gender. Really, that's gonna be the thing that solves everything. Deconstruct gender, deconstruct the patriarchy. I'm going to finish this video here. Don't forget to grab your kiwi fruity with the link in the description. Hit subscribe and I'll be back in a few days for another video. I would love to see you again. Don't forget to like and leave a comment while you're down there. Don't forget to pick up your very own Kiwi Fruity, the Fruity Kiwi, with the link in the description. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Sprout and above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Wolf, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Kai, Christy, and Ikazel. I love and appreciate you so, so much. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes, you replace